Hi friends, how are you? It occurred to me after chatting with somebody that I might want to share the first few chapters of my books. Since I haven't been able to make an audio book yet, and I don't even know, are people still checking out audiobooks now that you're not driving anywhere? Let me know. Here's the first chapter from Love is Crazy. Lessons in Love, Creating Your Own Happy Ever After. Chapter 1, The End and the Beginning. The city bus jerked me awake. I felt completely shocked that I'd fallen asleep, especially here in South Central LA. Oh, P.S. I am going to change the colorful words so that YouTube will allow me to put it on here for kids. And I'm working on the teen version too. Especially here in South Central LA, this is not the safest place to fall asleep, I thought to myself, but I was so beat. It had been 3 months with no job and 2 sons to feed. Their dad had been no help. I felt so blessed to finally have a teaching post and my first paycheck in hand. It was going straight to food and Christmas gifts. There was a strange whirring sound as my sons, ages 4 and 9, and I walked across the parking lot of Florence Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard. We were passing the laundromat on our way to their dad's house. Then I felt my canvas bag being ripped from my shoulder. Crap, my paycheck's in there, I thought to myself. Immediately, I started running after the guy, and my sons chased after me. The jerk was tall, black, and thankfully a bit overweight. He couldn't have known that I'd been running daily for the last 6 months. At the edge of the parking lot, I jumped on his back in hopes of getting my bag back. He flung me off like a dirty sock. Still, I continued my pursuit. Max, my youngest son, stopped running early on, but my oldest, Daniel, kept on following me. Luckily, I learned later that a nice older Hispanic gentleman held Max's hand while waiting with him at the corner. I began cursing and yelling at the top of my lungs while chasing the mugger at a furious pace. I continued screaming, "You're gonna give me back my bag, you son of a beep? You may as well drop it now, because I'm not giving up. I'll chase you down to the ends of the earth, you beeping. You know what. Listen, buddy, you better give it back, and I'll let you go on your merry way. That bag is vital to my survival, and I'm not giving it up easily." As you can probably tell, I was not going to let him get away, but he continued running, and I continued chasing. "You mother beeper, you better give me back that bag," I screamed at the top of my lungs, and I kept yelling at him for the next mile while I chased him down. I knew he had to give me back that bag. He just didn't know it yet. He obviously didn't understand that feeding my sons was important enough to me to keep pursuing him no matter what. We passed people on the street. I yelled for help, but everyone ignored me. This was South Central LA, after all. The chase went into the middle of the street. Luckily, cars slowed down to avoid hitting us. I continued with a barrage of filthy words. "You better give it back now. I'm not giving up till you do, you poop head." Next, my shoe fell off, but I kept racing after him. It was a darn good thing I'd been running in Seattle to stay in shape. We crossed the street, and he finally dropped my bag after realizing the crazy white lady chasing him was not giving up. I grabbed it and kept running after him while I checked to make sure my wallet was still in there with the check intact. Once I found it, I felt satisfied. I finally stopped running. Then I noticed Daniel had followed me the entire way. He was shocked I'd been cursing like a trucker. He said, "Mommy, I didn't know you knew those words." I told him, "Now you do, and you know we don't use those words usually, right? Where's your brother?" Daniel nodded to my first question and replied, "Back there, I guess." Crap, I thought to myself as I prayed that Max was all right. We raced back to the laundromat to look for him. We were happily surprised to find him holding the old man's hand, still waiting for us on the corner. We began the 4-block walk back to their father's empty house, while my heart still raced from the adrenaline pulsing in my body. I drew a hot bath and finally took a deep breath to try and relax, to take in all that had just happened. Poop, I just realized that mugger could have had a knife or a gun on me. I was so blessed that he didn't, and then he couldn't outrun me. My body was still shaking from the rush of adrenaline that comes from pushing past the point when the body says stop. It took a good hour for the shakes to stop. As I rested my head on the edge of the tub, I asked myself, how the heck did I get here? It all started in May of 1999. I knew something was coming my way. The feeling that things were about to change was undeniable. I was living in Sedona, Arizona, home to the incredible Red Rocks and New Age Mecca. I adored this place and my job as Jeep tour guide. This job was adventurous and great fun, as compared to my previous post as school teacher, which I had loved, but the daily monotony drove me bonkers. Sure, the elements were unpredictable, and the passengers were sometimes stingy with small tips. Overall, it was my favorite job so far. I never knew what was coming next. Time off sitting in the guide cabin reading a book, if there was a slow stretch, or back-to-back days with no breaks. Sometimes there was hardly time for lunch at my favorite restaurant, the Cowboy Club. Located in uptown Sedona, it's the quaintest of quaint spots with cowboy memorabilia all over the walls and melt-in-your-mouth elk steak, buffalo burgers, rattlesnake chili, and cactus fries. There was always plenty for leftovers. However, more often than not, one of my growing sons would snatch it before I did, unless I hid it in the back of the fridge, but then I might forget it was there. I'd survived many strange love relationships, and on again, off again with the father of my sons, and recently with a brilliant fellow Jeep driver. He had a photographic memory, which included post-traumatic syndrome from recent service combat. He couldn't even conceive of being around children. Love had been mistreating me horribly, but I knew I couldn't give up. I remember calling Bobby's name and shaking his hand as we met. He was a passenger on my Jeep tour. He was ready for a thrilling ride through the Red Rocks. He sat next to me, and almost immediately I felt giddy, like I was in high school again. I knew Bobby felt it too. The electricity in the air was undeniable. The tour was just short of magical, as it always was, traversing through the high desert on dusty roads to our most popular spot, Broken Arrow, aptly named after the old Western movie filmed there, way before it was a tourist attraction with so many homes and shops. From the first 2-foot rock my four-wheel Jeep climbed, I had Bobby in the palm of my hand. Or maybe I was in his. He was one of my best audiences anyway. We were not alone, mind you, although everything and everyone else seemed to blur into the background. It was like we were the only ones on planet Earth for those 2 hours. The other passengers included a couple who sat in the back seat, which had been converted to face forward for a better view. I bet they could tell something was up, as the air felt positively charged with a magnetic, invisible energy. Almost immediately, Bobby and I started politely flirting with each other. I asked him, "Where are you from?" He replied, "I live in Seattle with my 2 sons, 6 and 9, who are 6 and 9, and my 14-year-old daughter. My parents live in Mesa, Arizona, where I grew up." Bummer, I thought to myself, and responded, "And your wife?" "We're recently divorced. Luckily, we get along better now we're apart. She's seeing a new man who gets along well with our children." "That's cool," I said. "I'm not with the father of my children anymore either, and we get along decently now." At least we had some common ground, 2 single parents with 2 or 3 children. My mind was already thinking ahead of the whole Brady Bunch scenario. If we got married, we'd have 5 children to take care of. That could be a nightmare or an adventure, depending upon your point of view. Neither of us could deny the sparks flying. It felt like live dynamite. I began my spiel about the rocks, how they formed over millions of years. Anyway, you get the idea. And at the end, I do share the lessons in love. So let me tell you about that lesson from chapter 1. Keep your eyes open for love because it can catch you anywhere and anytime. I was always searching for love, but sometimes it literally falls in your lap. I always thought I would meet my soulmate while singing or at a church, and sure enough, it happened twice with my baby daddy and my now husband. Oftentimes, I'd imagine myself on stage looking out into the audience. He would see me and be somewhat awed by my voice and beauty. Sure enough, I met my baby daddy, Baba, at Agape Church in Santa Monica. However, he was certainly not wowed by my singing and never supported my music. When I met my now husband, we were at a little church held in a school library. Ironically, I met Bobby while driving Jeep tours, which was not how or where I ever imagined it. It's funny how you never know when or where love can happen. While the Bobby thing didn't turn out in the end, I learned many crucial and valuable lessons. That helped me be the person capable of a successful, happy, and mutually satisfying marriage now. And happy in many regards and fronts. Every lesson along the journey softened my edges and aided my personal growth. Lesson in love task. List 12 places outside the ordinary church, class, or place you normally frequent that could be where your special someone might be hiding. This might be a new church, club, or meeting that interests you, yet you never made it around to attending. Try grocery shopping in a different part of town, perhaps a step or two nicer than your regular spot. Get active, and perhaps the new place you exercise in might have an interesting candidate or best friend just waiting for you. You don't want to always be on the lookout for a romantic candidate. Just expanding your realm of friends can help too, as they may know the perfect person for you. Be open to blind dates too. Some can be awful, but you never know. One might be just what you've been looking for. And if you are in Hawaii right now, and we can go exercise. I recommend really getting out into nature. You can go jump in the ocean and come back. I don't think you're gonna meet anybody there, but you might, you never know, run into them accidentally, or hey, have a 6 foot away conversation. And try to get into the forest right now, because I'm about to go do that myself. Anyway, I will see if I might just do a little one more chapter of this book too. Anyway, enjoy and check out my books. You can read the whole first chapter on my website, and that is at umaojeda.weebly.com. Aloha and mahalo from Hawaii. Bye, and thank you for watching.